Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about the emperor tamarin, which is a monkey species. Alright, so the classifications of the emperor tamarin, its class is Mammalia. Of course, its order is the Primates, its family is the Callitrichidae, and its genus and species is the Sagginus imperator. And then one small fact about them themselves is that they are one of the smaller monkey species within their order, and throughout their entire lives they only go up to weigh around 1 pound. When they are born, they only weigh up to 8 ounces, but when they grow up they weigh up to 1 pound, and they grow to be 9 to 10 inches throughout their entire life. So they do have the possibility of growing shorter, so like not reaching it, but they cannot grow larger than that. Alright, so about the emperor tamarin themselves. As just stated in the previous one, the emperor tamarin is a small New World monkey, and they are typically known for their long white mustaches. So these monkeys spend much of their time in trees and in the middle or in the lower canopies. And since they are within the trees and within the lower or middle canopies, this means they live in forests in countries such as Brazil. So, they are most commonly found in groups of 20 or so members, and these monkeys live in mutualistic relationships with other tamarins. So, a mutualistic relationship is when two different species benefit off of each other when they are living together. So, not one is harming, not one is benefiting off of the one harming, and not one is just sitting there. They are both benefiting off of each other. And most commonly in some areas, they are often found in mixed species groups, meaning multiple different species live within that group, and in that they share the same territory with groups of saddleback tamarin, which is just another species of tamarin. So, some fun and interesting facts about them is that it is believed that emperor tamarins were named after the German Emperor Wilhelm II. So because of that, taxidermists, they enjoyed playing with the mustaches. So they have their little mustaches, which are naturally drooping like this. And because the taxidermists wanted them to look like the emperor, they would play around with them and make them go up like that, because the German emperor's mustache would go up like that instead of just letting them naturally droop. And because of that, the name was initially given to them as a joke, but later on it became the actual Latin name for the monkey. So, as just stated, their whiskers look like they have they have a mustache. And one other interesting fact is that their tails are very long and red. So in contrast to their body, you can see that their body is like made of different browns and maybe blacks here and there, and then you see the white in the front on their mustaches as well. And then you see on their little butt they have a little bit of red, and then throughout their tail it is red and orange. And then another little fact about them is that they have long fingers, which helps them grab onto branches and can grab onto their prey more easily. So, one of the main threats, so there are threats towards them, of course, and one of the main threats that emperor tamarins have is that they are threatened by habitat destruction and are also collected from the wild for pet trade, which is a very illegal act to do. So ways that you can help them is that from the beginning we've been taught this, is that you can reduce, reuse, and recycle. This helps keep as much trash out of their habitats as possible. You can practice ecotourism by becoming an advocate for the environment when you are possibly on vacation. So this is helping protect the wildlife, so you can volunteer to help protect them. And then a very important one is that you do not keep them as pets. These animals are exotic animals and are meant to live outside in their habitats. So if they were to be taken from their habitat that they are used to and be put into a household to become a household pet, they would not thrive at all. So they have the potential of dying, but if they were to survive, they would not be as healthy as you would see them within their natural habitat. All right. Thank you.
Today, I'm here to talk to you about the ring-tailed lemur. The ring-tailed lemur is a primate, of the family of Lemuridae and the genus of lemur and species of Kata. Ring-tailed lemurs are about the size of your average house cat. So if any of you have a house cat at home, you'll know the approximate size of a ring-tailed lemur. They have black markings on their arms, legs, and necks, as you could see on the picture on the left, and around their eyes too. They have backs that could be either gray or brown, and white underbellies, hands, and ears. And of course, their namesake, their ring tail, which is with 13 rings of black and white. And these 13 rings are 13 on every single ring-tailed lemur. Ring-tailed lemurs are ring-tailed lemurs natively live in the southwestern portion of Madagascar. They live in the various niches of the island of forest and rocky habitats, including deciduous forest, arid bush forest, and rock canyons. They're known as ecologically flexible because they could fit many, many niches. They're very resilient, if I must say, or adaptable even, so that they could live in many different areas and still survive and thrive. However, they are all, even with that resilience, they are an endangered species. They face many threats, including slash and burn agriculture, which would destroy their habitats. And even though it would eventually regrow, they're not equipped to repopulate that regrown area. And droughts, of course, would take away a source of food, which would push them out of an area, leaving them to starve. And of course, we have the problems with poachers who hunt them for sport, or natives to the area who hunt them for food. For food. And we have people who hunt them for pet trade, who sell them around the world to people who want ring-tailed lemurs, which is a problem for the people who want the lemurs and are unequipped to care for a primate, and the lemurs themselves would go into an ill-equipped household and likely die from the lack of care. And these problems, plus many more, has caused a 50% population decline over the last 36 years. Now, there are conservation efforts to preserve the ring-tailed lemurs, and one of the such is them being listed in the first appendix of CITES. And the first appendix is for the most endangered plants and animals around the world. And they have many, many rules regarding those animals. And they can only be traded, as in like, traded not for money or such, but traded as in kept safe between people or zoos or protected areas that would want to protect them through very exceptional circumstance. And of course, within Madagascar, there are protected areas and national parks that would keep these ring-tailed lemurs safe from poachers or predators or anything else potentially that could harm the species. And of course, there are zoos around the world, even in America, that will help ring-tailed lemurs to repopulate by giving them a safe area with no natural predators and no humans to worry about, so they could safely build up their population and hopefully no longer be endangered.
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. My name is Tim. I'm going to be talking to y'all about the orangutans. Alright. All right, so we've talked about classification already. You know, it's a way of organizing plants and animals into groups based on their likely evolutionary developments, also on their biological function and physical attributes. So we group plants and animals in this way, okay? So we also group orangutans in this way. They are part of a large group called the primates that you're learning about right now. That includes lemurs, lorises, apes, orangutans, monkeys, humans. So all those are considered to be in one group called the primates, and they all these organisms share a few similar characteristics like large brains, color vision, wide-ranging shoulder movements, stuff like that. Large brains, relative to their body size. So they all share those common characteristics. And then orangutans are, even more specifically included in a group, in a suborder called the haplorines. This group of organisms are all going to show similar characteristics like a dry or simple nose. So, the opposite of what you would see on a dog's wet nose, you would see this in this suborder of animals. Um, they also have a larger brain to body mass ratio than the rest of the primates that we just talked about. So this group of apes, humans, orangutans, monkeys, they're going to have a larger brain to body mass ratio even than the other group of orangutans that we just talked about, the even larger group. So this is specifically, you know, even greater than the last group. Okay, and they also typically won't have vitamin C production, which is pretty unique. They're also even more specifically, they're part of the family Hominidae, or the hominids. Basically, everybody in this family, you're going to start seeing it become more specific here, if you can see my mouse. This family, their most common ancestor lived 14 million years ago. So essentially, 14 million years ago, this group was all one species and split, since then. That includes the orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, and humans. So even more specifically, closely related to humans, chimpanzees, bonobos, gorillas, more so than lorises, lemurs, animals like that. Okay, and then more specifically, just this genus or species, also called pongo. Here's a good picture of a male orangutan. They live in the arboreal forests, or they're mostly arboreal, so they live in the trees a lot. They're very intelligent. They love to play games with each other. They're very social. They make intricate nests, use a variety of tools. They're primarily frugivores, so they eat mostly fruit. They live socially distant, but they still form a lot of relationships. They're only found on the islands of Malaysia and Borneo in the Southeast Pacific. So they're really interesting creatures, really smart, have a lot of unique characteristics, but also, are really closely related. Humans like to form relationships. They also eat fruit. They're also very intelligent, similar to gorillas and chimpanzees. They're very similar to the rest of the primate family, but they're also unique. The sad part is that they are endangered, severely endangered. They're greatly at risk of becoming completely extinct. They do only exist on these couple islands in the Southeast Pacific, so you won't find them very many places. And then in their specific habitats, in the Southeast Pacific, a lot of their lands are becoming targets for palm oil farms, which basically destroy their habitats. Orangutans need a lot of trees to live a normal life. They sleep in trees, travel in trees, live in trees, and use trees as tools for a lot of different things. And essentially, palm oil, huge there's a huge production of palm oil going on, specifically on their 2 islands, destroying all of their trees. And maybe we could all cut down on the products that use less palm oil to try to help save these great animals. All right, guys, thanks for listening. I appreciate it.